again, quilters. Welcome back to my channel, Pages and Stitches. That's spelled pages, the number 3 stitches, both here as well as on Instagram. My name is Kelly, and I'm finally bringing you my next update. If you are here after having watched my floss tube video, which should be up right before this, you will know already the reason for the delay. If not, and you are a quilter who has just happened upon my videos, or if you exclusively watch my quilting content, regardless, welcome. I will explain everything, why I've been away for a bit, but I'm here now, and I'm bringing you my Quilters Corner update for the month of March and April. I'm not sure what number it is. I'll have it in the title. Regardless, today is Sunday, May 5th. It is Cinco de Mayo, so happy Cinco de Mayo to those of you that celebrate. I unfortunately missed all of the previous holidays that were celebrated, and I missed it all. So happy all of that to all of you. So unfortunately, I did not have an update at the end of March, beginning of April, because life happened. I got a back injury, which required multiple doctor visits and lots of physical therapy that I'm still going to. So that ate up a significant chunk of free time. Work has been crazy. I've been doing a lot of extra hours, which has been that much harder with the back injury. Unfortunately, I don't really have the ability to step away from work for healing time because there are already several coworkers who are out on maternity leave right now. So we're all kind of struggling just to stay on top of everything. So that's also eaten into some of my free time. There's just been a lot of setbacks recently. So unfortunately, what that meant for my channel was that I kind of had to have YouTube take a backseat for a minute and prioritize some life things, which should always be a priority, of course. You know, what we do here on YouTube, on our floss tubes and in our quilting vlogs is just for fun. Or at least it is for me. I know there are people out there that actually do this full time. I do not. So it had to wait. And while it was put off for an additional month, I found that I actually really appreciated that extra time to make some progress, because I was able to make decent progress in spite of all of my other setbacks. And I didn't feel like I had a deadline looming over my head. So ultimately, what I've decided is I'm probably going to continue having lengthier periods of time between my updates. I know a lot of people have told me that they've come to expect my updates right there at the end or the beginning of the month. And I've done my best to kind of stay on top of that, but it's starting to feel more like a job, which makes it less enjoyable, right? So I am going to give myself some grace and do away with my schedule and just kind of keep going until I feel like I have enough progress to show you, and then film whenever that may be. I will try and stick loosely to an every kind of 6 to 8 week-ish thing, but life doesn't care about your best laid plans or your schedules or whatever. So if I have the time and the desire, I will do it. If I do not, it will wait. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not like leaving my channel or stopping with the updates. I just want to take away that expectation that there will be a video every month. It's just me in my life. So I have to handle everything on my own. And whenever I do these floss tubes, I film and edit them entirely on my own. So I'm gonna do away with that schedule and that expectation to make things a little bit easier on me and kind of take that burden off my shoulders, because this is supposed to be fun. And if it's not fun, then I won't do it anymore. And I don't want to stop doing it. So that's what it's going to be going forward. At the end of the video, I'll try to give you an expectation of when you can see my next video, so you're not, you know, always wondering. My floss tube video will have gone up right before this one, so if you are new here but you are also a cross stitcher, feel free to check that video out on my channel. And I do one floss tube and one Quilter's Corner update whenever I post. So my floss tube update for this time frame will have been posted right before this. That being said, I do feel like I have a fair amount to show you that I'm very excited to show you, in spite of all of the life that happened that kind of held me back. I have a quilt finish, I have a quilt top finish, I have some Stitchy kindness, and I have some pretty significant progress on the whips that I worked on. So let's get started. As per usual, I'm going to start with my reading update. If you have seen my floss tube video, I imagine you're skipping past this entire part because all of that intro plus the reading update was in my floss tube as well. So by all means, keep skipping. It's the same books. If you're unfamiliar or if you're new here, the Pages of Pages and Stitches is representative of my third passion, which is reading. So I just like to do a quick little rundown of all the books that I read since my last video. And then if you follow me on Instagram, I post them there as well, but also with like a review or a rating so you can see what I thought of it. But for YouTube purposes, I'm just going to show you what I read. So I had previously started a motorcycle club series by Emma Slate, and I continued with that series this last month. I had read the first one before. This is number 2 in the series called Crash and Carnage of her Blue Angels Motorcycle Club series. And then I read number 3, which is Madness and Mayhem. And then I read something a little bit lighter, which was this series, I started this series by Ali Hazelwood. It's actually 3 standalone novels in this trilogy about women in STEM, in the form of like a rom-com romance, which I thought is really fun. Ali Hazelwood is the author, and book number 1 is called The Love Hypothesis. And then number 2 is called Love on the Brain. And there is a third one that is sitting on my bookshelf, ready to read whenever I want. So that was the books I read for March. And then in April, I read this book first here. This is Powerless by Laura Roberts. And this is the first book in the series that she's writing. And then I read this little Regency romance that's like a palette cleanser. And this is called By Love Undone, written by Suzanne Enoch. I love little Regency romances. They're kind of like my guilty pleasure. Before you ask, yes, I love Bridgerton. The next season comes out this month in May, in like 2 weeks, and I'm super excited about it. And then the last book I read in April was this one here. This is number 1 in this series by Carissa Broadbent. This is her Crowns of Nyaxia series. And this is The Serpent and the Wings of Night. It's like a darker vampires series. I love paranormal stuff. Okay, let's talk quilting, shall we? That's what you're here for. First, I want to start with my quilt finish. It's been a minute, so you probably forgot all about it. I finished this quilt top last video before that, I don't even remember, which was Set Sail by Jaybird Quilts. I don't have the pattern in front of me, but I think it's by Jaybird Quilts. If not, I'll insert what it actually is down here. And I was using Melody Miller's fabric from her line Rise, which unfortunately is no longer available. It is like a 3-year-old fabric line that I just kind of sat on for a while before I actually did a project with it. And since that finish, I have taken it to my quilter and I have fully finished the quilt, which I'm very happy about. I will insert a picture of the full thing so I don't have to like unfold this all. So the way I quilted this is with a large, let me see if you can find a, yeah, that's okay. It's like a large feather pattern, and we stitched it with a bright blue. The blue is kind of like this color, less vibrant, more like this one maybe. And it looks great. Here, let me open it up a little bit. There we go. So all of the diamonds in the middle are the different colorways of the snake prints and the florals in that line, rise. And then the borders of the diamonds are different coordinating prints of spark, which Ruby Star releases to kind of complement the different fabrics that the designers release. There is several sparks that have the gold, and then all of the diamonds have the metallic on them. And it turned out beautifully. I don't know, did I show you the back? I must have shown you the back before I got it to the long armor. It's this beautiful navy diamond that sort of complements the pattern of the quilt itself. You can see that feather print really well. And it's got a metallic on it, looks gorgeous. And then I just used this pink, because I had extra, as the binding. And I love it. It was very cute, very fun. And I'm glad I finally was able to use this line because I loved it so much and I just could not commit to a quilt with it, partially because when I love a fabric a lot, I really hesitate to cut into it. It feels like I mean, you can't really go back after that. So maybe it's like a commitment issue with my fabrics. Okay, so next, as you can see behind me, there is a new quilt on the design wall. If you don't remember, because it's been a minute, this is what my design wall looked like the last time I did an update. It don't look like that no more. I finished the quilt that was up there before, which is this one here, Stars Hollow by Missouri Star Quilt Company. And I put this quilt together with the Moonlit Garden line for Andover fabrics. And the background is like a peach dot that complements the color palette. So it is all finished off the design wall. I will insert some pictures that I take of it. It is ready to go to my long armor when my next appointment is, which should be maybe next month. Yeah, should be in June. I'm not actually sure. She texts me like a week before and says it's time, but I think it's in June. And then here's the backing, which is this beautiful pink moth print. And then this green, this dark green moth print colorway is the border. So this one was tons of fun to put together. The blocks came together really fast, really easy. And I really liked the sort of coral green color combination. I was really into that color combination when I was growing up, and this kind of made me feel nostalgic for it. So it's all done and it's ready to go. And like I said, I will insert pictures of the quilt top since I have it on the hanger instead of on the wall for you to look at. So I first came across this pattern in a YouTube video. Missouri Star Quilt Company has their own YouTube channel, and every third Friday they release a video called the Triple Play, which is where Jenny, Misty, and Natalie design a quilt based on a theme or an idea or a certain fabric line or whatever. And then this quilt was designed by Misty, and she used this sort of Halloween print, and I knew I wanted to stitch it right away because I loved the quilt. And while I was on the website shopping around, I found the Moonlit Garden line it takes a layer cake. So, and then some extra yardage for the border. There's the border there. So it was just kind of like serendipity that I found them basically both at the same time with very little looking. I will have this tutorial linked down below where this pattern came from. I get a couple of quilts. This is my second Missouri Star quilt pattern that I've done that I found on their Triple Play videos. Funny enough, the first one was also a Misty pattern that she made. But I just really love those videos. I watch them all the time, and they're very, very good, very in-depth tutorials. So if you're more of a beginner quilter and you need like a more instructional type pattern, you can definitely check out their channel. They have a whole playlist on their triple plays. So that's very exciting. I have a FFO, a quilt, fully finished object quilt, and a top finish. That's pretty cool. And the next one I want to talk to you about is this guy right here, which, as you can see, is just about done. So this quilt here is a quilt we have all lovingly dubbed the Acid Trip Sampler, because as you can see, it looks insane. The original quilt pattern is this one here. This is called Christmas Potpourri, which is a sampler designed by a quilt shop. This is called Quakertown Quilts. It is a shop that is no longer in business, and it was in my hometown where I grew up. My mom originally purchased this pattern and made this quilt early on in her quilting career. She actually told me it was one of the first ones she ever did. And I still, to this day, I love this quilt. It comes out at Christmas time every year. And when I decided I wanted to do a sampler, first of all, I knew I wanted to do it with like bright, crazy neon prints. I just didn't know which pattern, and I shopped around and I remembered this one. And Mom is a hoarder and saves everything, so she still had this pattern, and so I did it. Last time I showed it to you, I had finished, let's see here, this is the middle line right there, the middle dividing line. So I had finished the top 6 blocks. The pattern is originally a Quilt As You Go 12-month, or not a Quilt As You Go. The pattern is originally a 12-month block of the month. So it's broken up into 12 blocks. And that is the middle dividing line there. So I finished the top 6, and I have since stitched all 6 of them together. And then this block here, you saw, this was number 7. And it cuts off right there. This is hard to do like backwards and upside down. So I had been doing them 1 block at a time each month, but I caught a wild hair this last update, and I was like, I just want to finish this bad boy. And I mostly did. So I finished all of the other blocks, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The only thing that's left to do is to stitch those together. I haven't stitched them together because I wanted to be able to take them off the wall and show you the blocks up close. But then also you'll see around the border is like a patchy, scrappy second border, and I haven't done that yet. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through all of my prints that have like big, you know, patterns in them or things to see. I'm doing it kind of with an I Spy element. I'm gonna go through all of those and cut my little patchy scraps out of those prints. So that's all that's left. And then I just gotta stitch together, take it off the design wall, and then that one's ready to go to my long armor. So first I'm gonna show you the blocks 8 through 12, and then I'll show you the fabric that I have that's gonna be the backing for this quilt. Okay, so here is block number 8. Right, y'all. Very cool. So I have I think this is called a bear paw block here. Some 4 patches, there's some quarter square triangles there, some flying geese, and then this little star here in the middle with that adorable little snake, little Tula snake. And then we got a little giraffe over there on the side. And a lot of these, so whenever I make this, as I'm making this quilt, I stitch it kind of with my friend Amy, if I ever had Amy in mind, because I'm using so many of Tula Prints fabrics, and she loves Tula. Most of these little I Spy prints are kind of Tula pink, but there's also some Cafe and some Ruby Star and just other random brights. But a lot of these little, like this is a Tula, that one's a Tula. That little bird with the teal background is a Tula, but the pink one next to it is a Melody Miller. which is a ruby star. The scissors down there. Those little tiny prints with the animals on there, I don't think those are Tula, but I wanted to include them in those tiny little inch rectangles there. And that snake is a Tula, the giraffe, of course, and yeah, that bird. So yeah, a lot of these neon prints are also Tulas. Lots of Tula. And of course other stuff. I've got like cotton and steel, ruby star, just a little bit of everything. So here is block number 9. So we've got this really cool kind of pinwheel block in the middle. We've got the lion there. Of course my border has all those crazy half square triangles. There's some flying geese down there. The name of that teal and yellow block, I think, is like a basket, a flower basket, something like that. And then this was supposed to be a 9-patch on point, but I ended up kind of changing the colors. I mean, it's still a 9-patch on point, but I changed the colors a little bit so that this yellow in the middle really stands out. Some more neons from Tula. My little mushies here. Everybody knows I love mushrooms, and if you don't, now you do. Love them. So cute. And lots of little fun prints to look at. I love these little like 1-inch square checkered moments that show up in the quilt. They're in a couple of places. So moving right along to block number 10. We are now in the bottom row. So we have this little checkered heart in the middle there. That was kind of fun to put together. And we have a log cabin here where all of the blues are kind of like a background, and then the gradient kind of pink reds in the middle are almost like a little flower in the corner. And then we've got these 2 little stars. We've got some Tulas over here in these rectangles on the side. Little rainbows, a little square within a square block with a Tula flower. Yeah, I just love these. These are so fun. And the funnest part about this quilt is I didn't sit down with a plan and like meticulously figure out which fabric was gonna go where. I pulled out the pattern for the next block and just kind of started pulling fabrics, and of course I auditioned them as I went to, you know, make sure there was no clusters of any one color or, you know, fabrics that are repeating too close together or anything like that. But ultimately, I just kind of threw it in there and left it. And then whatever it was is what it was. Here is block 11. Here, here's another little section of those little checkered 1-inch blocks. We've got a moth, how to throw a moth in there. Some flying geese, little kitties here, little elephant there. This little teeny tiny log cabin right there in the middle of that star, that was that was pretty meticulous. And I kind of did it the same way that other log cabin is, with the sort of a background print on one side and then the yellows making a gradient from light to dark out from the middle. We got some half square triangles all over the place. I like those 4 hands on top of each other there. They're from 2 different fabrics. One's a Tula and one's from Joann's, but they're very handy. And then more of a little bit of everything. I just like that every time I look at it, my eye is drawn to a new spot and I see something different that I forgot about, or, you know, find something that I didn't even realize was there in the first place. And lastly, here is block 12. So we've got one more little checkered section. There's some flying geese making a turn there. These really cool pinwheels over here on the side. We got a little hippo. There's that really cool kind of pinwheel star with the pink stars in the background. That's a Ruby Star Society print. And then we've got a little, there's a Tula Marie Antoinette print. Those flowers there on the purple are Tula. Lots of Tula flying geese blocks. I forget what this kind of block is called, but this one I did a pink on pink, which is really pretty. And then of course, my half square triangle border. So yeah, next time I do an update, that won't be on the wall anymore. Knock on wood. The intention is to not have it on the wall anymore because I want to have all of this put together and then do the borders, and then the top is done and it's ready to graduate to the closet where it waits for its appointment with the long armor. Now for the back, I kind of went back and forth with what kind of fabric I could use on the back. Obviously I could go with any Tula, because I pretty much used all of them in this quilt. Anything that's kind of like bright or rainbow or multicolored. And I actually kind of went another direction. And I got this fabric here for the backing. So this is a print, it's a Moda fabric, and it's just these little puzzle pieces, which I thought were so cute. It's a black and cream, a black and white, but I kind of thought this would be perfect because the back of putting this quilt together felt like doing a puzzle, because I would do it one little piece at a time and kind of see if it fit as I was doing each block, and it kind of felt like piecing a puzzle together. So this is, in my eyes, this is perfect. And I really like the juxtaposition of having a front that looks like a unicorn threw up on it, and then a back that's just black and white. I think that's a really cool plan because this obviously is a lot. And so having a back that is not a lot is cool. As far as what I'm gonna use for binding, I don't really know yet. I could use any number of prints. I could do a scrappy binding. I could do a solid black. I could just do more of the puzzle piece print. I don't really know. I'll figure it out when I get there, but it's gonna be a minute before it gets quilted, I think, so I'm not gonna worry about it just yet. But that is Christmas Potpourri, which you guys named in the comments the Acid Trip Sampler. And when I finish it and I do that extra border, then I'll take the pictures, of course, so that you can see it before it goes into seclusion. So the other quilt that I worked on is this one here on my design wall. This one I had kind of introduced my last video, where I kind of, when I started it, I didn't really have a plan. I just had a bunch of scraps that were in strip form that weren't big enough to use in my hexy gradient quilt, but they were still, you know, they're significant strips, so I didn't want to get rid of them. So what I had done is I color coordinated them. I put all the light colors together, and then I kind of divided them up and made these random sized strips with them. I was trying to see the widest I could get the block with the smallest strips in my scrap bin. And so the blocks are each 4 3/4 by 15.5. 15.5 is just an arbitrary number. I just kind of stopped there. And I'm doing all the color groups, just kind of working my way through that supply of scraps. I don't really have it laid out the way I want it to look, but the way it is up on the wall right now, you can kind of see how I might put these together as a bit of a gradient, especially like right in here where it goes from green to yellow, or, you know, from this sort of teal to gray moment there. And I'm really having fun with it. The last time I showed it to you, I think I just had my greens and then gray. So since then I've added more greens. They're more in like this teal, almost starting to go blue color variety. I did some reds, and then I did a whole bunch of yellows because I have a ton of yellow scraps. And this has just been so fun. Like, I've just been laying them out. There's a lot of fabrics that repeat because I had several of those. This is kind of cool, the way these little faces ended up in the strips. There's fabrics that appear in more than one block, which I think will help whenever I do get it on the wall and decide. Because I think what I am going to try and do, I think, is some sort of like fading from one color to another in my layout. But I'm going to finish all of them before I do that. I still have several more to do. I've got, you know, all my oranges and pinks and purples and browns and blacks and blues, whites, silvers. There's a whole section of like multicolors that kind of fit everywhere. So yeah, that's where I got to. So far I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 by 3 is 21. So there's 21 blocks. I have no clue what the finished size is going to be because I have no clue how many blocks I'm going to get out of my scrap stash. But if it's like a weird number, of course I can always like cut some strips from my actual stash to fill it out and flesh it out if I need to. But I think it's really cool. I'm really happy with how it's turning out. And then last time, of course, I put it to you in the comments to help me come up with another name for this, because it's not a pattern, it's just something random I'm doing. You guys knocked it out of the park with Acid Trip. So a couple of you told me I should call it the Striptease, and I gotta tell you, you guys you're naughty. Striptease and Acid Trip, you guys are bad. You're a bad influence on me, or I'm a bad influence on you, but you made me laugh with those suggestions. But I think what I'm gonna call it is what, there was one commenter that said that they look like paint chips that you get from like the paint section of like a home improvement store, like Lowe's or Home Depot. And I don't know why it didn't occur to me that they absolutely do, but they do look like paint chips, like those gradient paint chips that you get from a hardware store. So I thought paint chips is actually kind of a great name. So I'm gonna call it the Paint Chip Quilt. So for my next update, I'm gonna hopefully have a lot more paint chips to show you. And since it's already on the design wall, I'm gonna leave it. And then when this one goes down, I'll move it over. I also have my Moda sampler in the works, but I didn't do any new blocks to show you. So the quilt I'm referring to is the My Favorite Colors Moda sampler. This is what it looks like. And I'm stitching it with navies and mustard yellows and creams that all have a sort of like star, sun, or moon theme to it. And so previously I had finished this block, this block, this block, and then this random one down here. So this is all one section right here. So the only thing I've done between now and then was piece this section together. So I'm probably going to start this one and just kind of go this way and then down and around. I don't know. I didn't work on it at all because I was really focused on getting these blocks done. But it is still in progress. It's just I didn't have any in the last couple months. But for my next video, let's just go ahead and go over plans. For my next video, ideally this will be finished and off the wall. This I will have expanded on and then moved over on the design wall, and then I will have done some more work on the Favorite Colors Moda quilt. The only other WIP I have in progress really is my hexie gradient. I have been making more hexies, but I haven't put any together, like to show you any. I haven't stitched any of them together to show you, but I'm gonna keep working on that in the background, and then once I have more together to stitch together, you'll see that as I get it. But with 3 quilts kind of checked off my list, with the set sales done, Stars Hollow is pieced and ready to be quilted at the long armor, and then this one, which is near that stage, that's 3 quilts that I've taken off my WIP list. So I think it's time to start something new. You know how when you get to the end of a project, it's extra exciting because then that means you get to start another project. That's where I'm at. I have a couple of options and I want to show them to you and get your thoughts. I may very well just start both of them. Maybe. But I wanted to show them to you regardless. So a while ago, I had shown you this fat quarter bundle that I purchased. Amy of Fiber Arts, Amy is the one who turned me on to this designer. This line is called Celtic Fairies. Again, this is a fat quarter bundle. It's designed by Lewis and Irene. And I don't know if it's still available. Probably not, because again, I tend to buy stuff and then sit on it until I figure out what I want to do with it. But I have this, and while I was figuring out what fabric to get as a background for my Bauhaus quilt, which I will insert a picture of, I purchased 2 different solids. The one I went with was the darker solid, but I still have this one here. This is 2 yards, and it is still available. I forget what this color is, but it kind of really complements this fabric line without blending in with any of the prints. So I'm thinking I'm going to use this as a backing for whatever I'm going to do with this. I have a couple of quilts in mind that I might be able to use this line with, but I don't have my heart set on any particular one. But now I can truly shop around and see what's in my stash. Ideally, I will use a pattern that's already in stash. My plan this year is to, like with my cross stitching, is to stitch from stash. I have plenty of fabric. I have plenty of patterns. And if not, there's always free patterns to come across online. So once I figure out what pattern I want to use, this I think is going to be a set for a future quilt. I also received as a gift from my very dear friend, Fiber Arts Amy. Amy, this is a very like you themed update. That wasn't intentional. Regardless, I received from her this fat quarter bundle. She has a fabric dyeing business called Oak Crown Studios. I will have it linked down below. She hand dyes cross-stitching fabric of all different types, Ada, linen, Lugana, I believe, including some opalescent fabrics that look stunning. And she also dyes quilting fabric. Now she sent this to me as a gift, and I did ask if she was going to, or if she intended to sell a fat quarter bundle of these on her site. She said that was in the works. I don't know if that is available on her website. If it is, I'll have that link down below. Otherwise, I'll just have the website itself. And then of course, if you would like to purchase a fat quarter bundle from her, I'm sure you could just message her and tell her you're interested and work with her that way to get this lovely bundle. So it's 12 different fat quarters in these beautiful kind of sherbet colors that I just think are stunning. I have a couple of these in cross stitch fabrics as well. because I love them. They're so beautiful, so bright and so vibrant and so pretty. Anyways, so this I need to create something with because it's burning a hole in my pocket, so to speak. So I've been shopping around for some patterns in my stash and online and what I can find for free, because there's 12 fat quarters and I want to utilize all of them equally if I can. And that's kind of a difficult parameter to stay within. But I'm gonna find it. The pattern is out there. I will find it. I think there's a couple of contenders. So I might start that project. Like I said, I might start both of them. Oh, you know, hold on. I have a couple of other options. So maybe I'll just throw all these out there and you tell me which ones you like the best. So a while ago, I had purchased this fabric line called Dark Forest, I believe, which is a dark sort of nighttime moth and floral mushroom foliage kind of print line. And I got most of them. And then I got some supplementary purple grunge to sort of go with it. And it also comes with a panel. Now I don't have a pattern in mind for this one because the one that was kind of designed to go with the line I don't really care for. And I don't have the full line, I just have most of it. So I may end up designing one myself. I think that was the original intention when I got all this. I just never did or got around to it. So I might, I mean, this has been sitting there. Again, I buy a line and then I sit on it because I can't commit to a project with it. So I don't think this is available anymore, but it's time, I think, to bring this out and do something with it. I just don't know what yet. So this is also an option to use as a new start. And then one more option to show you. At last year's Quilt Festival, not this past one that happened in November, the one before that, 2022, I bought a jelly roll designed by Tilda. This is called Chic Escape, I believe. And it's kind of like vintage looking florals and like teapots, or not teapots, vases if you're fancy. And they just look like vintage kind of wallpaper prints, which I love. That one's very pretty. And so I bought this jelly roll and I was trying to figure out what to do with it because jelly roll quilts are not hard to come by. And I have these patterns in my stash from Krista Moser that are jelly roll quilts or like strip quilts. So I was thinking I might could do, I really like this one, the City Girl Chevron. I might could do one of these with that jelly roll. And as you can see, maybe she likes to use a gold like accent, like a literal metallic gold accent fabric in her quilts, which I also like. She's a woman after my own heart. And I have a whole yard of literal gold fabric. So my plan is to use those together. And then probably with my City Girl Chevron. But then, you know, honeycomb hexagon is another option. City Girl Chevron. So that is another option to start. I have those all burning a hole in my pocket, so to speak, all ready to go, essentially. I just need to do that. So there was the Celtic Fairies, which I don't have a pattern for yet. The hand-dyed fat quarter bundle from Oak Crown Studios. The dark forest line with the panel, or the Tilda jelly roll with the gold fabric, and probably a Krista Moser pattern. Basically, I'm finishing 3, so I might have room for 3 if I so desired. I don't know. I may just start 1. I don't know. We'll see. But let me know what you think of those choices. And we'll go from there. But I do want to start at least 1 before my next update, because whenever my whip count starts getting low, I'm like, hang on, something's not right. So that's basically, we've gone over all of my updates and my plans essentially. There's one last thing I want to talk about real quick before I let you go. And that is, I received some lovely Stitchy kindness in the form of a gift that I was not expecting at all, from a very kind woman who won one of my giveaways that I did on my FlossTube YouTube anniversary a while ago. She did not tell me this was coming, so whenever it said I had a package, I was like, what? I didn't order anything. And it was just a surprise gift from her to say thank you for sending her one of the quilts that I did a giveaway with a couple months back. And so Natalie McCauley and I, we were talking on Instagram, and she randomly surprised me with this beautiful gift, which was a lovely handwritten note, a massive chocolate Easter egg, because it was right after Easter that I received this package. That Easter egg lasted about a day and a half. I ate it with gusto. It was very good. She, I believe, lives in Michigan, because she sent me this beautiful coral yeti, and she said, I think this is Upper Michigan. There's a card in here, which, here it is. It's the Blue 6 laser engraving. Yes, this is Upper Michigan. And Natalie, I'm gonna have to take your word for it, because I've never been to Michigan, so I couldn't tell you the difference between upper and lower. But I love this color. So I use sort of travel mugs like this or all the time, and so this is added to my collection. And then in addition to those things, she sent me some fabric. So she said she's had this fabric for a while, just never kind of did anything with it or knew what to do with it, so she sent it to me. And it's this really cute cat print with these beautiful paisleys in the kitties. There are this lovely like blue and green and purple, and there is a subtle shimmer in the cats themselves. I think this is 1.5 yards or 2 yards, something like that. And then she also sent me a yard of a coordinating fabric that goes with the cats, with the same colors and that subtle shimmer in between all the little swirls. And I thought that was very kind. Again, I was not expecting any sort of reciprocation to the giveaways, and I never do. I never expect any sort of reciprocation. If I'm doing a giveaway, it's just a gift to you that you won fair and square. I never expect anybody to send me any sort of thank you, but this was a very nice surprise. And to anyone else who has won a giveaway or wins one in the future, I'm not expecting anything from you. It is not expected, it is not required. But of course, I do very much appreciate this, Natalie. I don't know that I ever emailed you to say thank you, so hopefully you're watching this to get the thank you. If not, I will message you and say thank you for this beautiful fabric. I will figure out something to do with it. And when I do, you'll be the first person to know. So yeah, that's it. It was a decent amount. It's 2 months between videos, so it should be a decent amount, right? Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm probably not going to stick to the monthly schedule anymore. But I will try and stay within a 2-month window, whether that's 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or something else in between. I just kind of want to take that stress away so that I can feel more creative and free to do what I want when I want. And like I don't have looming deadlines. I cannot stand that feeling. It makes me feel like I'm back in school. So I'm gonna do myself a favor and take the deadline away. I'm the one that imposed it, so why can't I take it away? So yeah, if you want to be sure not to miss the next video, keep an eye out, or you can hit the little bell, the little notification bell for whenever I post a new video. Of course, you can follow me on Instagram, and I'll try to, anytime I start posting like updates there's a video following it right after. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to drop me a comment, drop me an email, direct message me on Instagram. I will have everything that I can link in the description box down below, including the books. And if you don't find your answer there, then reach out to me and I'll try and get you an answer to your question. But thank you so much for coming back and hanging out with me, especially if you made it to this point in the video. I'm sorry for the delay, but also kind of not, because I needed to take care of life. So with that being said, I will see you guys next time. And in the meantime, I wish you all health and happiness and creativity and joy. And I hope to see you again very soon.